in. Everyone, I'm so excited to be out here today for our very first live stream with Alabama Microschool leaders. So we are getting ESAs in Alabama, and we're so excited. We already have so many great founders in our state that we just wanted to take some time to interview different people and find out what's happening on the ground floor. This is a grassroots movement, and so it should be founders helping founders level up. And so what we're going to do, if you're a founder and you want to be on the stage here with us and talking about what you're good at, we would love to have you. So make sure you let us know. And I want to introduce you guys we're only be on for 1 hour, so you can plan for 1 hour tonight to talk to Erica, Tina, and Alayna from Alabama. And they are doing some awesome things in our own state. So I'm going to turn it over to Erica and Tina talk about their space first, and then Alayna's going to come back on, and then we'll close up right before 7 o'clock. So 1 sec while I switch the screen. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Level Up Your Brand. As Jennifer said, I'm Erica Ehrlich with Level Up School of Innovation.
And I'm Tina Lewis with Level Up School of Innovation.
So today, what we're going to talk about is leveling up your brand. First and foremost, I just want to say that, yes, colors, logos, all that's part of your brand. You see that all here on our page. But your brand is a lot more than that. Your brand is your story and your why for your micro school. And that's really where we're going to focus a lot today. I first want to point out this wonderful picture of me and Tina.
Right.
So this is from way back when me and Tina actually met through a professional development program. And one of the key phrases that stuck with both of us was level up. And that's something that we took back into our classrooms with that professional development. And we kind of just kept carrying that into our presentations, because I'm technology by trade, Tina science. So when we teamed up, it was just kind of like, hey, we got to do some STEM presentations. So we did STEM, but we focused on that level up feature. And so you see that wonderful picture of us with our level up shirts. I'm wearing a level up shirt here from another presentation. She has that one.
We have 2 different level up shirts, but yeah.
It's carried on for a long way. Once we started with Level Up, we really got into ed tech a lot, and we started our own personal branding. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and how our story continued and went into our micro school from there. All right. So first, I just want to talk about what is branding. Of course, the definition of branding is your logo, your colors, your messaging, focusing all on your values and missions. This is something that's critical for us as micro schools, especially in Alabama, because micro schooling is not very well known in our world, in our state. So it really helps us define a clear identity of who we are, what we do, who we serve. And it gives you a strong brand that differentiates you and your community from all the other schools around you, and gets you just as credible as those other schools in your community as well. So that's a long definition. I'm not going to read it all. But my main points for tonight are really just to stay authentic and stay consistent. That's one of our early pictures of Tina with one of our first flyers we passed out. Right. Yeah. Our school personally is STEAM and nature focused. So that's why in that flyer in particular, if you can tell, it has gears and all that's all STEAM related. Again, me being technology, her being science, it just kind of fit perfect for us.
And this is where I was saying we'll go into our personal branding. That's the same picture from before. Um, Tina, do you want to talk about your personal motto, how you came up with
Sure.
that?
Okay. Well, good evening again, everybody. I'm Tina Lewis, one of the co-founders of Lucy Level Up School of Innovation, and what you see on the screen, planting seeds in learners and making waves in education. So, planting seeds is more like my mantra, my motto, my slogan. Like Erica said, we met each other, excuse me, in a ed tech space at a professional learning, and this was many moons ago. They told us, "Hey, learn how to brand yourself. How can you get different companies, different things to see what you're doing in your classroom?" So my thing was all about planting seeds. How can I teach a child this and it grows, right? So planting seeds was just, it just appeared, so to speak. So that's my mantra. So everything that I use, from Twitter or X now, TikTok, LinkedIn, all the others, social medias, we try to push planting seeds and telling our story.
And your planting seeds was not just in what you could, from knowing you personally, not just what you taught your students academically, but really
Right.
forming that relationship with your
Yeah,
students as
yeah,
well, because you've
yeah.
really followed. Like we just talked about the other day, one of your first students is graduating, right?
Yes, yes. Just following their journeys, being a supportive ear, just being there for them. So literally planting that seed, giving them something and watching them grow. Yeah.
And of course, mine is making waves in education. I am a
Hmm.
firm believer that the system is broken. I always have been.
Hmm.
That's actually, I would never want to be a teacher. And that's actually one of the reasons I became a teacher, is because I thought that the system was broken and I was like, I could do better. So I became a teacher. Um, so that's always been my thing, is kind of making disruption, making waves in
Hmm.
education. And again, we let use that story of the level up of our own personal branding, of how our individual stories got started. And when we came together and I was like, I want to start a school. Hey, Tina, you want to start a school with me? And
Yes.
Tina, of course, jumped right on board. It was,
Hmm.
again, natural for us to go into STEM, but it was natural for us to use level up as as our name for our school.
We've been using it so long now, so might as well.
Yes, it was so fitting. And
Yeah, it
then
was authentic, right?
our logo as well, because, and that's why we are STEAM and nature focused. We like
Mhm.
screen time balance. So we like 3D printers and coding, but we also like going fishing and hiking and things like that.
Right.
So I wanted to incorporate like our personal mottos, the reason we got into education, the reason we do what we do every day, into our logo. And because we are STEAM focused, I'm technology, she's science. You can see all of that in our logo. You can see my wave, her little sprouts, and you can see that
Wow.
cyber kind of technology that's webbed in
Mhm.
that as well. Um, and that is something I will say that was created with Canva AI, like image
Yes.
generator. That's how I came up with this logo. So if you're having a hard time coming up with a logo, AI
Canva.
image generators are the best. All right. So going into how to brand, especially if you're first getting started, like I remember when we were first getting started. Now we're only a year old, so we're not like
Yeah, it's a
OGs
year.
or anything. But when we first got started, it was hard at first, because it was like, oh, we're going to start a school and we're going to do STEAM,
Mhm.
and we had all these ideas.
Yeah,
Like, okay, where do we focus?
focus.
So we had to bring it in, and
Mhm.
I
I was
think
the one kinda telling her, "Okay, let's bring this in."
she tells me that all the time. I'm a little ADHD, guys. But I think because of my ADHD, I feel like I did things a
Right.
lot, and Tina will probably agree, like all over the place and probably backwards, and could
Mhm. Backward design. Yeah,
all kinds of
but it
twisted.
worked.
It did
Mhm.
eventually. But
Right.
for everyone who's watching, I would recommend that you start small.
Yeah.
Now that I have made all the mistakes, people say don't pay the stupid tax twice. Don't do all the wrong things that I did. So I
Mhm.
say first start with your mission and vision. Like I said, for us, leveling up, waves, planting seeds, that was our personal missions. And we
Mentions,
needed to
right.
figure out how to bring all of that into how we market ourselves to other people.
Mhm.
And so we had to, I think it's good to start with what is your mission, which is just why your school exists. Why did you
Yes.
come up with this and what kind of impact you want to make? And then the vision statement is where do you see your school in the future? What kind of picture do you want to paint? Where do you want your students to be? Where do you want yourself to be?
To be right.
And so I think it's good to start there. And then
Mhm.
something I told y'all we've been here for over a year. Like this week, created a brand board.
A brand board, right?
So we have websites, we have all the social media, we have everything. I think because I'm
Everything.
technology, I go into
Mhm.
everything. But I never created a brand board. And when I went back and made one this week, I was like, man, I wish I had done this up front. If you've
Mhm.
never seen a brand board, it's basically, like your colors, your fonts, like things that you want to bring in
Will capture the
together
attention. Mhm.
to go into your brand. And I think that's a good way to visualize what you want to create and be able to build off of that. And like we said, using technology, those image generators. Me and Tina, when we first got started, I know I went into another tech tool that's an AI image generator. It's called Microsoft Designer.
I know. Mhm.
I went into that and was like, this is the school I want to build, technology or STEAM school that feels like a lounge, that has nature incorporated. And, I want individual and collaborative learning spaces and blah, 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 blah. And Microsoft Designer spit me out an image of what that could look like. And I was like looking at those images going, oh, yes.
Right. Mhm.
This is what I want our school to be. This is my vision of where I want to go. So that really helps with that brand board. I have my AI images on my brand board of saying, okay, this is still where I want to go. We're not there yet. We're currently operating out of my house. So we're not there yet, but I do want to get there. And I keep those on my brand board. And then I kept those on my computer just as
Yep.
motivation to get us to where we want to be.
And
And
we'll
then,
get there.
oh yeah,
We will
definitely.
get there. Yeah.
And then after you have created this, you have your vision, then go forward, create your landing page or website or whatever it is you want to do. I think our website was one of the very first things I did.
Things we did. Yeah, right. It was one of the first.
I'm very much into the creative side of things, as you can tell with my slides. That was one of the first things I did was go build a website so that people knew who we were really,
Right.
really soon after we started. And our branding, all of that, not only in our logo, but even you see here is a picture of our school mascot. We're the mighty moths, is what I say. But our mascot is a moth. And again, that ties in nature. You can see the cyber wings on it, which ties in the technology.
Technology.
It has our school colors, which focus again on the planting seeds and making waves. And if you are not a technology nerd like me, then you probably don't know. But we do a lot of like coding and things in our school. And in coding, when there's an error and something messes up and doesn't work right, it's called a bug.
Yep.
And so a long time ago, when they first invented computers, actual bugs would get into the computers and cause glitches. And the first bug was identified as a moth. So again, we're bringing that storytelling into our school, into our branding. That's why we chose the moth. So I think that's, make it your own. Have a story to tell people when they ask. Don't just choose something random. I could have went with the Lucy Lions, but I don't even know how that would tie into anything that we do. So like I said, tie in your story, your why, everything about your school, bring that in. All right, Tina, do you want to talk about some of the events
Sure.
and stuff we've done here?
Okay. So building awareness. What does that look like when we think about building awareness? They can be events, field trips, business, city. Now, with us at Lucy, we have actually had 3 events this year. We've had 3 events. Our first event was Lucy Lab, where we had over 50 participants. to show up through the river region. And for people that's not down here, that's Montgomery, Elmore, and Otago County. So we had over 50 participants to come out to that. And we also had some partnerships with community partners. Field trips, we host field trips weekly or bi-weekly,
Monthly.
I'm sorry. Monthly, we have our field trips, businesses. We have different companies that have been generous to buy into our micro school and say, hey, we want to help you. And that's been a big thing. And also partnering with the city. We're doing some things. We have partnered with the city of Prattville, and we had our pitch and play event back in February, which was a great thing to introduce us to the city, or to not introduce, but keep us relevant. You always want to kind of have like an event, something like that in your city, at least quarterly. Social media, be authentic. If you don't take anything away from our webinar tonight or our section, please be authentic. To piggyback off what Erica said, know your why, tell your story, and be authentic. You don't know how much your story can impact the next family. I mean, you could be going through the same things. So be authentic and stay consistent. I know being consistent is very hard to do, but in the long haul, and what we're learning now, when we are consistent, Erica posts everything on our social media. And I normally tell her, hey, I believe in what you're doing, go ahead and post it. But she's very consistent of posting things on all social media platforms. I don't know if she have like it in her calendar. We do use a software that we talk to our board members about and ourselves, like, okay, checklist, which is good to have. Focus on what you're good at. Let me say that again. Focus on what you're good at. Please do not be worried about what other schools and what everybody else is doing. Focus on your niche. What makes you you? What makes your micro school important? What makes it? It's a need, because it's a need everywhere. And like I said, being authentic and telling your story is going to help that focus, right? And just groups. Oh my God, Erica posts in all the groups. I've seen Lucy all of the groups. I was just say that she's fearless when it comes to posting and bringing awareness everywhere. Anytime we have a chance to bring Lucy up, we're bringing Lucy in the conversation. So don't be afraid to tell your story. Be authentic and consistent, and know your why.
Yeah, and I also want to
Did I do it?
add with with focusing on what you're good at. You also, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be
It does
everything. Like
not.
she said, don't focus on what everybody else is doing, but also like if you're good at Facebook, if you're on Facebook, use Facebook.
Focus
If
on,
you've
yep,
never
use
used
Facebook.
TikTok, don't try today to start a
Mm-mm.
TikTok and start talking about your micro school. Like
Mm.
because I'm a tech person, Tina tells me sometimes I do too much, but I post on every social media. We have all the social media
Yes.
pages. I have a monthly newsletter. I have a weekly
Yep.
newsletter. I do the most. If that's not your thing, if you don't like doing that, please don't.
It's okay. Yeah, do what's best for you and your micro school. So if that's like what Erica said, that's focusing on Facebook because you're good on Facebook. Maximize that. Use your strengths. And if that's Facebook is one of those, capture that audience and then move on from there.
I will say, as a side note, Facebook and Instagram do link up. So if you schedule a
Okay, yeah.
post, it'll post both at the same time, which is really relevant. That's a
Ain't nothing
lot.
too
She
loud
said,
for
I
my
don't know if you have a calendar. I don't really have a calendar, but we meet twice a week and I try to take
Mhm,
pictures. And either that night or the next day, I post those pictures
mhm.
up, pictures and
And another
videos.
thing,
And it'll go straight
always
from Instagram to Facebook and I don't have to post
mhm,
twice.
always take pictures. Even the littlest thing can capture that family. Like, oh my God, they're doing that. And you never know. And sometimes, most of the time, people look at a picture instead of reading what you post. But if the picture captures them, that's buy-in too. So you want to always make sure you have your phone or a camera, something that your kids are doing in your school, capture it. Short videos, just capture it. You'll be surprised.
It's also really great for the algorithm if you're in
It
social
is.
media.
Mhm,
It'll
mhm.
speak literally a lot louder than your words will.
Yes, it will. It will.
All right. How do people discover your brand?
Mhm.
um, so again, if you have a landing page or a website, once you get to that point, things you want to make sure that you focus on. First is your SEO. I don't remember what that stands for. Big words. But it's basically your keywords in your
Your
description.
keywords.
And you want
Mhm.
to make sure you have that for every page of your website. When I
Yes.
made my website, I don't know how many pages we have, but I
Mhm.
think I only had SEO for the first like
First
homepage.
page. Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
didn't really focus on other pages. And then even when I did that, any updates I made, I had to
Mhm.
update the SEO.
Yep.
So if I added
Yep.
an image or added a text box, okay, it's asking me for that SEO again. So
Mhm.
you want to make sure you have that, because if somebody is like looking up curriculum in your
Mhm.
area or whatever, and all of a sudden
Up
your
here.
curriculum page pops up, you want to
Mhm.
have a description underneath there that talks about this is a micro school and this is our curriculum,
Yes.
or whatever it is you want to say. You want to make sure you highlight that. Or if they're looking for, private school tuition, well, if your name pops up in that search as tuition for your micro school,
Mhm.
you want to have a description so that people find your school. There's a little
Right.
bit of marketing in our branding here, but make sure you have that. The second thing is you want to have a button or something that's a call to action. So your call to
Mhm.
action, which I've had to learn, your call to action is your schedule a tour, schedule a
Yep.
phone call, sign up, fill out our interest form, whatever
That's
that
it.
is. It doesn't have to say those exact words, although that's helpful because they know there's no question about like
Question.
what they're
Right.
supposed to do. I think that that's really important, and you want to have that on every single page, because you never know what part of your website is going to
Side
lead
is gonna
them
be.
to
Mhm.
sign up. So make sure you have that on every page. The third thing, testimonials from your parents, people who've been in your school. Ask them, even if it's just an informal, like, hey, can I get a quote? Or hey, what do you think about our school?
Mhm.
Take that, put it on your page, whatever it is, a one sentence. Or if your parents ever text you and been like I have a parent that's on our page that's like, my child always asks me to pick him up late. He always wants to stay longer than he needs to. That's on my page, because obviously they like being here. They're having fun. That needs to be there.
Mhm.
And then your visual identity, that's all the stuff we talked about at the beginning, your colors, your logo, your fonts. Make sure they're consistent. I told, I think, Tina earlier this week, I just went through and like matched all my fonts across my whole website, because
Mhm.
it's more cohesive. It's easier to navigate.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I just have technology that I use. This is not all. Obviously, I've mentioned a few others, but these are the most common ones I use. Chat
Mhm.
GPT, she is my
Mhm.
best friend.
Mhm.
Emails, newsletters, social media
The
posts,
post.
business
Yeah.
consultant. I talk to
Mhm.
ChatGPT about everything, and I love it because it learns you, and it learns what you're doing and what you're about. And then every
Mhm.
time I start a conversation now, it knows what I'm doing. It knows my micro school. I don't have to put
Yep.
all that into it again, and I can always go back to a previous conversation. So like,
Yep.
I told you I got ADHD. I jump around a lot. So I'll be like, hey, grants, hey, summer camp. And then I can go back to grants later. I can go back to summer camp. Like, it'll save those conversations so
I
that I
will.
can have that conversation all in one place. Canva, this is obviously created in Canva. I told y'all our logo was created in Canva. Canva is
Yes.
my like favorite thing. I like being creative. I made the presentation, like
Mhm.
outline and everything, because that's what I like to do. I like being creative.
Yep.
Wix is what our website's on.
That is on.
There's
Yep.
plenty of other ones out there. I just like Wix because that's what I'm used to. That's what I've
Mhm.
used in the past. So I'm on there a lot. Like after I learn something about marketing, branding, whatever, I do it back
Mhm.
and take it to our
Go
website and
to
change
it.
it up.
Yeah.
And then also there's contacts through there as well that I have to talk to
Mhm.
parents. And then Facebook, like Tina said, I'm in every group, homeschool group, city group, mama group,
Yes.
parent group. It don't matter, co-op group. I'm in all the groups, and
Be
generally
visible.
I
Mhm.
try once a week to post on every single group all at the same
Mhm.
time. Everybody in prep was going to see my post at one
Yeah.
Because one of the
Mhm.
groups they're in, and I reach out because, like she said, we serve the Tri-County area. So I go to the Montgomery groups, I go to the Millbrook groups, I
Yep.
go to Pine Level
Yeah.
groups, I go anywhere that's near Prattville.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna see my post.
You're gonna see the post.
I'm gonna put it there so y'all gonna see it. Going back to our community, some just kind of focusing in a little bit. That's a wonderful picture of me and Tina, our very
Yes,
first
our
booth
first,
set up.
yeah, our first booth.
That was our very
Special.
first one.
Yeah.
I got chickens out of that conversation, by the way, because it was a farm swap, which was really weird, but it was cool because it was free. And I actually had a lot of good conversations with families. Some other things you can do: partnerships, join your Chamber of Commerce. They're really helpful, and you get really good connections through your Chamber of Commerce. You're going to have legislators, you're going to have your city councilmen, you're going to have other businesses, and if they don't know what microschools are, like most people around here don't, they're going to be asking you when you say, "Hey, I own my own school." They're like, "I'm sorry, what?"
Right.
What does that mean? And so then you get a chance to talk and tell your story.
Yep.
I would side note, if you join Chamber of Commerce, I recommend printing business cards. We have digital ones, but not everybody is about digital business cards.
Digital, right.
Have both. Your city departments, like she said, we did a great community
Pitch and play.
event. Yeah, our pitch and play event. And that was with our city cultural arts department. And they gave us a free venue. They set up tables. They made sure we had a projector and everything was set up for us, and they paid us. So it worked out perfect. All we had to do was show up and do a lesson and bring some iPads. So it was really good. So those are opportunities to make money, but also have free opportunities to reach other people in your community.
Exposure, right.
Again, any kind of community event, festival, whatever, set up a booth if you can. If not, I recommend just being there with like stickers or cards or something to hand out. Even if you don't have like the money to like personally set up a booth, like wear your t-shirt, have a sticker, hand it out to some little kids. And eventually people are going to be like, what is that? And they're going to Google it because they've never heard of it. So make sure you are there. Support your other local businesses. If they have a business mixer, a coffee event, that's mainly for me through the Chamber of Commerce. Go to those, support them. That way they will return the favor. Yes. We're big on community outreach. So we also have done food drives, coat drives, and things for local charities. And we invite the community on some field trips. So like I said, we like going fishing and hiking. Sometimes if we're just going fishing at the pond, we'll just make that a community event and anybody can come. So like we only serve grades 3 through 12. But if you're K through 2, come fishing with us. Hey, come walk this hike trail with us, or whatever it is. We try to also get them because eventually they will be old enough to come to our school. And we want people to know, or they may have siblings or cousins or whatever. You never know. And I'm trying to hurry up and get. All right. Measuring success. Tina, you want to do this page?
Sure. Word of mouth is the best thing. Like we said, telling your story, but word of mouth. If you're in the grocery store, if you're at Target, you're anywhere, Walmart, tell your story.
I've been at church with my shirt on, my school shirt.
Yeah, always wear your stuff. Like that's free advertisement. Referrals. We have a upcoming student this year. Basically, it's a sibling from one of our students. So
that's who's in the picture.
Easy, yeah. That's the easy referral. Interest forms and enrollment. Erica is very big on that, using Google Docs or whatever docs you choose to use, right?
Yeah, we just recently moved to Spark, but that interest form starts that conversation.
It does. Contact page is a big thing. Engagement, like, follow, share. Spark up that conversation. And reviews. Reviews is a big thing. So yeah, that's
ask your current families.
Your current families is a big deal. Please
ask them for reviews everywhere. Like not just Google, because we're on the KaiPod search. If you're on any other search, choose your school or school choice, whatever. If you're on any of those, make sure you're on there. And ask your people, like, send a review here or there or here, or give me a testimonial.
On Google, dude. Yeah, everywhere. Send it everywhere so everybody can see it.
And then that is it. If you have any questions, we're open, but that's some of our contact information. If you want to check out our website, see kind of what we've done. I'm not saying it's perfect by any means, but if you want to look at it, that's where it is. Or if you want to find us on social, that's our Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Those are our handles. But all of our socials are Level Up SOI. So if you want to find us on any other social media, it's either Level Up SOI or levelup.soi.
Mhm.
And
Great
that's it.
job.
Right at 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask a question. I got so excited when you guys mentioned your chamber. I've struggled to figure out how to get involved with them. What event did you do there that you probably liked the best that you would recommend? I know they do like ribbon cuttings. You mentioned the coffee. I know they do networking events. What do you guys recommend people do if you had to pick just one with your chamber?
Erica?
I don't know. I would say, so they do our chamber. I'm trying to think of just one. We do
Monthly.
monthly luncheons, and those are great opportunities to meet other businesses.
Mhm.
But my personal favorite event is they did a legislative midterm and wrap up.
Mhm.
So some of our local senators came and like were at this breakfast. So I was able to like one-on-one talk with legislators about micro schools and invite them to our micro school. So that was a really big thing. So that's my personal favorite, but any chance you get to talk to other businesses and
Yeah.
other people about your school and what you're doing, like she said, take it, do it.
And be fearless. Be fearless. Don't hold back. This any chance you get, tell your story. You
And
are your
sometimes they
brand.
give discount.
I loved your moth story too. Like how those really make sure
Thanks.
we're changing our whole thing. I'm like, I need a good story. It's awesome. But I'm so thankful for you guys for coming out tonight. We're gonna switch it up and go talk
Thank
to
you.
Alayna next. And we'll all come back out in the last minute and say goodbye and see if there's any other questions at the end.
Thank you for having us. Thank you,
Yes.
Jan.
Woo! Hello, everybody. My name is Alayna Woods, and I'm hoping Jennifer will come on here and talk with me a little bit. I'm going to speak about, thank you. I'm going to speak about a little bit about my story and how I started my school. So I'm a homeschooling mom of 17 years. I have graduated my oldest. He's actually a graduate of UAH now. He went to University of Alabama at Huntsville and graduated with honors in 2023. He did fantastic. Part of the reason we started homeschooling when he finished first grade in public school, and then we started homeschooling in second grade. And the reason was at that time, that was when the No Child Left Behind Act was being pushed through and everything. And what I found was it was like no child left behind, but if your child already knows this, too bad. They have to sit there and wait for 2 or 3 years until they can be in the gifted program. And it just wasn't for us. I tried to send enrichment, material for him to his teacher, and she was like, I just don't have time to implement it. And she really didn't. I in no way, shape, or form felt like it was her responsibility. Really, there was no help for him in school, and he already knew how to read. He already knew, these things that they're having to go over in kindergarten and first grade. He needed to go at a faster pace. And so I took it upon myself. I had worked for Alabama Power for 7 years before that. That's where I have worked full time, and I had just had another baby. And I had friends who homeschooled, and of course, my mind is wanting to be home with my babies. That's what I wanted to do. So I left Alabama Power and I started homeschooling him. I left in June, started homeschooling him in August, and found out the same day that we started school that I was pregnant with my third. So that first year was wild and crazy and fun. And then when he turned about, we did good the first 2 or 3 years when I had the toddlers. It was wild, but it was just one child that I was responsible for their education, and he was pretty motivated and everything. Well, number 2 and 3 come along to school age, and I'm like, I need help. I don't think that I can do this all by myself. And so I sought out just some help in the homeschooling community and found a program called Classical Conversations. Well, It was my first venture into classical education, and it was where I was actually trained to become a tutor for other classical schooling families. And so I tutored with Classical Conversations for about 6 years and kind of learned the ins and outs of what is the classical model. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about today. I also read a book, and I highly recommend this book if you want to learn more about classical education. It's called The Well-Trained Mind by Susan Wise Bauer. We actually use a lot of her material in my classical school. And that is what I started with my oldest. So I read that book. I found a history program called Story of the World written by Susan Wise Bauer. And it was recommended to me, the book and the history program was recommended to me by one of my close friends who homeschooled at the time. And she had homeschooled all her kids. She was a history professor at UAB. And she loved the Story of the World program and was just like, to hear a history professor talk about it, I was like, okay, I need to go get that, So I found Story of the World, and of course I have fallen in love with it too. I've literally used it every single year for 17 years now. This will be 18 years going into next school year. So we've used it every single year in our homeschool. It's one of those things that grows with the child. So that's one of the perks of classical education is that you're sending these children through a 4-year cycle. It's kind of like the history program is the spine of your whole entire program. So if they're working in the ancients, time period in history, then you're going to introduce them to more ancient literature and mathematical concepts that were introduced in the ancient times, and science revelations that came about in the ancient times. It's like everything's on this chronological timeline. And I really think that helps kids solidify not only history, but it helps them make that connection to literature and math and science and how it all came to be. It's like they learn the whole story. It's something that I realized probably my second or third time touring through Story of the World. It's like it all clicked for me because I was never taught history like that. I was never taught in a chronological fashion. So I really had a blind spot is what it felt like. And to hear it all at one time, it connects things. It connects everything in your mind for you. And that's what you want. You want those kids to be making those connections on their own. It's not like you have to spoon feed them. Oh, this happened at the same time this was happening. They start making those connections in their own mind. And that's true education. I have a heart for Charlotte Mason and the Charlotte Mason method. I don't know if you know about her. And I didn't know about her until probably 5 years ago or so. Somebody in the very early days of my homeschool adventures introduced me to Charlotte Mason, and it was like I was too overwhelmed to even find out more information. I had this idea of the classical thing. I was going to go with it. I had support there, and it wasn't until things slowed down with my own kids that I could really sit down and read Charlotte Mason's volumes. She has 6 books about educating children that I think any educator of a child should sit down and try to read, at least like the first one and the last one, and then spot check the ones in between. But she believes that education is the science of relations. Like when those kids can make those connections on their own, that's what you're going for. And the Charlotte Mason is a classical form of education. She was a classical educator, just more, more modern than some of the antiquity classical educators. But she has a really good, if you look at her 6-volume set, she just has a really good set of principles that I feel like respect the child and help them learn different habits and just things that a lot of kids and a lot of families struggle with. That's something that I talk to my parents about in my own school is, if your child has trouble with attention span, or that's like the biggest thing is the attention span. Well, she sets up her lessons so that each lesson is about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, even shorter for really young kids. But I only teach grades 3. Well, I have second grader right now, but so I guess about second grade through 12th grade. But what we do in order to cater to that habit, that short attention span, is we ask them for, give me 10 minutes of your focused attention on this. And it kind of, they can't focus for 45 minutes and they know it, like they're trying to not be a liar. They don't want to have this expectation put on them that they know they can't fulfill, but they know that they can attend for 10 minutes. And that's one of her habit training suggestions, is to put a time limit on it and keep it short and keep it sweet. And you can cover so much in 10 minutes. Like, it is amazing. Since I've gotten that in my mind that I need to keep this lesson short and sweet, I deliver the lesson that same way. So that kind of brings me around to, how do I run this online school? How do we do so much? And literally, we log in for 1 hour a day, 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And I have 2 different classes. I have a primary class, which is grades 3 through 8. And then I have a preparatory class, which is high school level. And I actually allow 8th graders in there. So it's 8 through 12. And that 8th grade level, I find, is kind of the cusp of either they're ready for that high school level material or they're not yet. And so I give parents and students the choice. If you want to stay in primary, and if you are not solid on your grammar yet, or you need to still practice, maybe the writing skills are not there yet, that's what we kind of look in that area before I move them up to to preparatory. And so I keep all those lessons really short, but we cover about 7 lessons in a week. And it's 7 lessons times 2 or 3 sometimes. So really, we're talking about 20 lessons or so over the course of 4 days. We might do some integration. That's another point of classical education, is you want to integrate as many subjects as you can. There's no sense in having a child write a paper, but then also asking them to do 15 minutes of copy work for handwriting. That's something that you can integrate together so that it's less work for the child and it's more profitable for them as far as producing, output, producing material. So we do a lot of integration. I teach a lesson for science on Mondays, and then they have a science lesson that they would work at home throughout the week. Everything's turned in on Fridays. We use the Google Classroom format, and we all meet on Zoom. So those are the 2 like tech, tech aspects that I use, and I find them very, very helpful. I just learned Google Classroom really this past year. There may be better things out there. I don't know. It's just like, this is what I've learned, and this really works well. Everybody seems to be able to catch on to it really easily. So I just teach online, and I love it. It's been fantastic. I'm teaching 60 kids now. That's how many we have enrolled for fall. I teach Singapore math. That is the math that I started with Braden when he was, in 2nd grade 17 years ago, and I've taught it to every one of my kids. We after my 6 years with Classical Conversations, the community that I was in kind of disbanded, but we all met up at another place. And we had Discovery School, that's what we called it, for 2 years, where we served 63 kids from K through, actually it was pre-K through 12th grade. And so now a lot of those kids that were my pre-K kids back before 2020, those are my students now. Like, they are in my classes now, and I serve that whole community and more. Like, since I'm online, it's not really just Alabama. I serve I have kids in California. I have kids in Arizona. I have kids in North Carolina and Virginia. So just all Texas, everywhere. Like, being online kind of opens you up to more and more possibilities for helping families. And there's so many families out there that are looking for a private tutor or, a small group class that their kid can hop into that's not like a ton of requirements and everything. Like, we have lessons and we have homework, but you know what? If you miss an assignment, make it up when you can. It's not a big deal for me. Like, I try to be really lenient, and I want the kids to learn. They do learn. They learn so much. And that's what I tell my parents. I'm not here to to keep track of you. Like, I'm not here to, I don't take attendance for any other purpose than, like, I want to know how many times they've missed class. That's my thing is, don't come to me telling me your kid hasn't learned something when they haven't been in class for but half the time, but the kids who show up, they learn, and it's like they want to come. It becomes an anchor point in their day. Where, they start school at 10 o'clock in the morning, and that's when we get started. They do their hour of school with me, and then they may have like 3 assignments that they need to work on, and then they're done with school. Maybe do your math a couple hours later. I do have math classes, small group math classes for anybody that's in my primary class. I only teach up through 6th grade math right now. So I teach 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade math in the afternoons. And those are also small group classes. And that's really it. That's what I do. Do you have any questions for me?
I love it, Alayna. Actually, it's so funny because I have a very similar story as you. I didn't know this until just now, but my first homeschooler homeschooled because similar things. I would classify it in the child left behind as well, and ended up going to UAH. She's now graduated from UAH as well. We did many years in CC. We call it CC if you're on the inside of classical conversations, right?
Yeah.
So my oldest is a graduate of CC. She did it all the way through 11th grade.
Awesome.
And so I'm like listening just now, and I'm loving everything that you're doing. And so if anyone listening is schooled and you've never homeschooled before, just know that hundreds of thousands of kids, maybe at least 100,000 kids. I know when we were doing it, I remember them ticking over into the 100,000th student. And that was at least 5-6 years ago. So they may have a couple 100,000 kids now that have gone through classical conversations. And it's not just in the United States, it's all over. So it's really an amazing thing that's like bringing classical education to the grassroots movement of moms. And like you said, I felt the same way. Like I have an engineering degree, but I didn't learn as much in my engineering degree as I did doing classical conversations with my girls. Like it's ridiculous when you get that timeline, like you said. I can't believe I'm listening to everything you said, and I'm like, yep. Oh my God, it's wild. But I remember for myself, I'm a very orderly thinker. And when they first showed me that timeline, I was like, why nobody ever showed this to me before?
Right. There's so much that's like hidden or missing, or like I love not only the timeline, but that they introduce the Latin language in classical conversations. I think that is such a gem that is hidden from so many other students. Just learning that little bit of early language learning for those kids opens them up. My 2 teens, which my oldest did, he did classical conversations. We started when he should have been in Challenge A, which would be their first like high school year, but he actually did a year of foundations first because we didn't have a Challenge A at our campus. And so the next couple of years, that was when my youngest she was a 4-year-old. So she was the very first year for her. And she went all the way through to the masters. And Braden went on into Challenge the next, 3 or 4 years. I think he went through Challenge 1. So he did A and B and 1. And then at that point, I was going to have more than one child in Challenge. And it was too expensive for us. Like that was just the facts. It was too expensive for us. I couldn't have all 3 kids in Challenge. That was just too much for us. And I wasn't the only one. It was multiple families around our area that, if you're homeschooling, that's generally a single income gig,
right.
Hopefully it's a single income gig.
Yeah, you're going to do, especially if you do something like CC, that's so rich and you really get in the trenches with the kids.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It was a really wonderful experience, but I think our whole community was relieved when we started Discovery School. It was all volunteer. Like I co-directed it and taught about 6 classes there, but basically we did free CC at another church. And I mean, that's totally doable. You can do that. And we had an essentials tutor there with us who did all the writing and everything. And I did foundations tutoring for 6 years. So I did basically the foundations part of it. And we also got to add in whatever we wanted. It wasn't the 6 crisp classes or whatever, but we did what we wanted to do, and we were able to serve our community. We also added some handwriting without tears classes for the little kids, and let them play with Play-Doh and develop their fine motor skills. We did some STEM work with we had a whole load, you always have a whole load of 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And so we did a STEM class for them, and we were really able to tailor things more, to our students. But then 2020 came and that all got shut down. Literally, we haven't been back since 2020. And everybody was like, let's go online. And I was like, yes, let's go online. And then I was like, nobody knows how to do this. So
we did the same thing too. I left my CC group right around then and moved here, and they were like, go online, because I was teaching math and all the things. And all of a sudden I was online on accident. So funny how similar our stories are.
That is wild.
I'm so glad that I got to hear your story. I'm like being selfishly glad that I got to hear your story tonight, even though we're sharing it widely. But if everybody out there hasn't heard of classical education, it really is a gem in the education world. It doesn't exist in public schools because it's not the foundation of it. Public school is what you would call traditional education, standards-based education. Classical education is different. I had a daughter who learned really well by ear, and she could memorize songs and after listening to it one time. And so CC, I was so sad that she only got to do foundations 1 year because she memorized everything without any pushing from me, without me having to talk to her at all. It was just something she did naturally.
Because that's their developmental stage at that time, right?
And I was like, God, if she had had all 3 years of that, because they go through it in cycles. They, like you said, with the history, but then everything, they cycle all they call it memory work. And memory work has a bad name in public school, but it is the beloved foundation of classical education. I think it's so good that you have what you're doing online, partly because CC doesn't make themselves available to ESA funding. So if you are someone who loves classical and you want somebody to guide you, Alayna is like the perfect choice, because you're going to be that guide and that mascot that gets the kids through. It is a lot of learning, but like you said, somehow they find it joyful because of the way that it's coached.
Yeah, right. They love it because that's their developmental phase at that point in time. Like, I know when I was a little kid, I could sit there and watch TV and learn all of these jingles from different commercials. Like, I mean, I could just memory. That's where my brain was. I could say an entire movie, just from watching Gremlins 5 times. I knew the entire script. Well,
my daughter's like that.
Yes, that's how kids' minds are made. We just need to fill their minds with beneficial information that's going to serve them for the rest of their life. I don't need a script of Gremlins in my head, but I could use that timeline from time to time, just to kind of figure things out. So it is important that we think about their development and cater to their needs, to their developmental needs. And I love that about the classical conversation. I keep saying that about classical.
Right, I know. I still do that too. If you
want to learn more about what we're talking about, it's called the quadrivium or the trivium. All of that is outlined in the book, The Well-Trained Mind. And I highly recommend that book to everybody, anybody that's educating children. I feel like it's going to make you a better teacher and, a better provider of information. Like, all of my classes are a little bit different. And one thing I really love, people are like, how do you teach 3 through 8? Like, that's a huge age gap there. And what I tell parents is everybody gets the same input. We're going to input the same information into every single child. They will soak in and absorb what they will. And if they don't get it this time, that's the cyclical nature of things. We're going to come back around to it again. The kids in 3rd grade are going to go through this 5 years, before they're out of the program and into the preparatory class. So they have plenty of time to absorb the information. And the differentiating factor here is their output. Everybody gets the same input. The output is unique to the child. And I think parents really appreciate that, because some kids are dealing with dyslexia or dysgraphia, or, really have output issues that we need to solve, or at least give them the tools to help themselves. And so I let parents decide that output, if they're going to write a 3-paragraph essay, or if they are going to write a keyword outline, and we're going to call it good because we know that they got the material, we know that they got it in their head, because they can at least outline it for us, you know? So I'm very flexible with each child. And I think that really, that's another factor that families want to know, that their child's going to be respected by who they are. You know, that's important for us as educators to be able to cater to those needs, and especially micro school educators. Like, I feel like we have the ability, you know, in public school, they can't do that for every single child, but as micro school leaders, we can. And that's what we need to be focusing on, is each individual child that comes into our care.
I love that. Okay, Alayna, I'm going to get us all back on here on Party Line. And we'll have like the last 5 minutes all chatting together. 1 second. Hang tight with me a sec. Hey guys, I didn't give you very much warning, so thanks for popping in really quickly. I got your headsets going and all that stuff. All right, so this was so much fun, you guys. I'm so excited that we're going to do this with different founders. There's so many things going on in Alabama that people are unaware of, and we need to bring everybody that's doing these things, we're just moms in the trenches who probably most of us start with a kid who the system didn't work for them, and we build a whole program and invite in their friends. That's really what we all kind of wound up doing, most of us. And I feel like because we're so grassroots, it's really hard for us to get our word out there. And so I'm so glad that you're willing to get on with me today so we could talk. Do you guys have any last words that you want to say before we get off here in 4 minutes?
I just want to say, Erica and Tina, it was so good to meet you guys. I have a page of notes from your presentation, and thank you so much. I'm going to be getting with you guys for some branding questions and website.
Of course, anytime.
Yeah.
Same. Oh my gosh, I have notes. I was like, do more with the chamber. Let's see what else. I love to talk. I'm going to get myself a story.
When I was texting Tina, there's still like a ton that like I said, I was trying to hurry and get it squeezed in the 30 minutes. So if y'all have questions, feel free, anybody who's watching, feel free to reach out anytime. I'm happy to help.
Microschool founders, we really get good at everything, right? Because we're the content, like our core competency is education. And so it's like all subjects, all grade levels, but then now we're business owners. And so we're able to talk branding and SEO and website development and all this stuff. And so I guess the other thing we should say is, hey guys, Alabama, here we are. If you need us, we're available, and we want to share our skills and our knowledge that we didn't go out to do this. We did start this just for maybe one child, but it's a lot of work and a lot of effort. And so we'd love to share our skills. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad to have you guys out here. And like, yeah, we all talk in our Facebook group. It's nice to see faces for once.
Right.
Thank you so much for having us, Jennifer. This has been wonderful.
Right, Jennifer, thank you for the opportunity. One thing I do want to say is just continue to be authentic and consistent with your branding. That's the main thing. Tell your story and tell your why, because it's going to reach people. So do that.
I love it. And that's why we're focusing on Alabama, because we are Alabama, and we need to link arms and help each other in the way that Alabama does Alabama and serves Alabama kids and families.
Right.
I love that.
We agree.
All right, you guys, it's been really fun. We're going to dial off of our very first Alabama Microschool Leader PD event. Thank you for being the first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.